Cryptocurrency was a fraud, they claimed. It was then declared to be a hoax. They're silent now, all right? You get it? Because the Clarity Act is scheduled for a vote in the U.S. Senate on January 15th, 2026. For years now, you have been living in the era of perhaps. The SEC may bring legal action. Even if your bank forbids you from sending the funds, that doesn't mean they'll create companies. Large insurance firms, pension funds, and large sums of money have been waiting for the regulations to be finalized. Below, we will move from discussing moonshots to discussing the structure of the market. We discuss the need for the U.S. to finally play its cards and the growth test that will eliminate thousands of worthless tokens. Saying maybe is no longer acceptable. The era of enlightenment is upon us. I'm the BHW, the quiet expert. Maintain mental acuity. Let's begin. Before you can comprehend where you're heading, you must first understand where you're coming from. In terms of legislation, the U.S. market for digital assets is now in what is known as a gray area as of early 2026. It has been years since Congress drafted the regulations. Pencil is used to write them. They originate from government organizations, and they are predicated on how those organizations interpret regulations that were drafted decades before the internet. There is a lot of back and forth because of this. What we consider a commodity now might not be so tomorrow. For an average trader, this is difficult to comprehend. For a large bank, a pension fund, or an international insurance company, this is not a suitable choice. However, have a look. Trillions of dollars that people are saving for their future and retirement are under the control of these organizations. Pencil rules are not the foundation for multi-billion-dollar systems. They require rock. They require dependable, well-known federal regulations. This is the first alteration brought about by the Clarity Act. The problems are not limited to new regulations. It has to do with a strong foundation. This measure will transfer authority from agencies to federal law if it is approved. It at last provides answers to the queries that have been impeding the company's progress. Who is in command? What is meant by digital commodity? Furthermore, how can a bank handle these cash without violating the law and facing legal action? We are discussing a structural shift. The market has been inquiring for the three primary groupings that the Clarity Act created. Digital goods include stable coins for payments, stocks, and bonds. By clearly stating that the SEC and the CFTC are in charge of these matters, the measure eliminates any room for speculation. We look at the institutional green light because when the regulations are put in stone, the large money stops being frightened to act, but some people only look at price movements. However, how does a project demonstrate ensure the commodity bucket contains it? Therefore, a concept that will transform the entire business world holds the key to the solution. Decentralization's proof. The Clarity Act's growth test is more significant than its regulations. Not every token is the same due to the new regulation. For years, the business community has been mired in a single significant question. When is a project now more of a service than a business? The Clarity Act provides a clear response through the decentralization document. A cryptocurrency project can request that the government certify it as appropriately decentralized under this arrangement. Imagine this to be a graduation. A network will succeed in the future if it can demonstrate that no individual or group has more than 20% of the assets or voting power, and that it doesn't rely on a core team to function. It possesses its own title. Why is this important to you as an investor? The key to entering the commodity bucket is this paper. Once a project is identified as a digital good, it is regulated by the CFTC as an asset on the spot market, such as Ethereum and Solana, rather than the SEC as a sophisticated securities. We can finally achieve legal peace in the United States in this way. Lastly, it eliminates the uncertainty that has prevented huge investors from making massive sales of these properties. Let's now discuss XRP. Things are very different with XRP. XRP is already predicated on a 2023 ruling from a federal court, but other projects will need to follow the procedures to obtain this certification. The Clarity Act not only honors the past, but also advances it. It is documented what the courts have already begun to state. The resource is a technology is a positive thing. However, if we wish to maintain fairness, we must discuss the negative aspects of this clarity. This license cannot be circumvented. In 2026, a large number of tokens are available for purchase. Many of them are highly centralized. Many of them are managed by ineffective small groups. It is not anticipated that the decentralization test will be passed by these initiatives. They will have to either lose the capacity to register as securities, which is expensive, or register as securities in order to remain on major U.S. markets. The market needs to be cleaned up, even though this may sound harsh. Individuals will begin to transfer their funds from potentially risky initiatives to approved utilities. The government is unwilling to wager on 5,000 distinct currencies. The best facilities are what they wish to expand. The things that have the rules we discussed set in stone are what they want. When this sorting process begins, a significant amount of money will go to the winners in a manner never seen in cryptocurrency history. However, the issue remains, if the regulations are established, how quickly will the trillions of dollars actually move? The development plan contains the solution. It is a grave mistake for investors to believe that a legislation will make everything better right away. The Clarity Act is a blueprint for creating something, not a magic wand. The Clarity Act is not a magic wand, to reiterate. It's a blueprint for construction. The Clarity Act is not a magic wand, to reiterate. It's a blueprint for construction. The Clarity Act is not a magic wand, to reiterate. It's a blueprint for construction. The Clarity Act is not a magic wand, to reiterate. If the Senate approves the bill this month and the President signs it shortly after, it will become law. I refer to this as the implementation runway. Understanding how the global banking system operates is crucial. The SEC and CFTC have up to 360 days to decide on final rules while a statute is still in force. They must describe in detail how a deal operates. They are responsible for establishing regulations that govern how banks can protect your private keys. Many specialists believe this. It won't be until 2027 or even 2028 when the entire regulatory structure is in harmony. However, the majority of small customers are unaware of this secret. Establishments act without waiting for the final regulations to be established. While the government is drafting the fine print, the large corporations are already preparing. Many large banks and asset managers, including JP Morgan and BlackRock, are already constructing their infrastructure throughout this period. They are experimenting with token-based deposits. A minor test is being conducted on chain settlements. This is being carried out because for the first time there is a legal means to do it before the regulations are finalized. The Clarity Act provides a safe haven for those who are attempting to abide by the regulations. Consider erecting a really tall structure. In 2026, the foundation is laid. In 2027, the steel frame will be installed. By the time the public sees the completed skyscraper in 2028, the opportunity to purchase at ground level will have passed. Not all of the money will come in at once. It will arrive as a steady deluge that gradually worsens. You can use more money as each rule is completed. Previously prohibited by Rule X, pension funds are now permitted to make market investments. Now, insurance firms that were hampered by Instruction Y are free to operate. For this reason, rather than using price charts that display prices every minute, we look at broad trends. The Clarity Act is what makes speculation a reality. It transforms cryptocurrency from a specialized asset to a regulated financial instrument. However, this puzzle still has one more piece. What impact does this have on the global struggle for power? What is the reason behind the US's current strong desire to adopt this legislation? You are mistaken to believe that the US's love of cryptocurrency is the reason behind the Clarity Act's passage. They act in this way out of fear. A global financial arms race is underway, while the rest of the world prepared for the future of cash, while the US was mired in legal disputes over regulations. As of 2025, all of the regulations pertaining to MA markets and cryptocurrency assets are in place in Europe. It created a common set of regulations for 27 nations. The UAE's Dubai and Abu Dhabi are already regarded as the safest locations in the world for online banking. All they're doing is exchanging bits of paper. They are tokenizing entire real estate and energy sectors. In 2026, the US finally realized a horrible veracity. Skills and money are like water. Where there is the greatest space for movement, they go. Silicon Valley won't be home to the next Google or Amazon of the blockchain era if the US doesn't establish clear regulations now. It will have its headquarters in Singapore, Dubai, or Paris. To catch up, the US needs the Clarity Act. It is intended to bring the most intelligent people and trillions of dollars, returning coders to the US. But that's not all there is to this. It concerns the Clarity Act, the new dollar, and avoiding the Genius Act for secure coins. The United States seeks to integrate the US dollar into all online transactions. In order to maintain US dominance over the global banking system, they want American regulations for XRP, Ethereum, and Solana. They're not longer attempting to thwart cryptocurrency. They want everything to be the same. This means that the US government's counterparty risk will finally work to your advantage if you are a trader. The direction of the wind has changed, But before the large ships depart, we must discuss cleaning up. In this new world, what will happen to the codes that don't function? Though the survivor's map is examined in the final section of our discussion, we must deal with the last pivot as this briefing draws to a close. The Clarity Act will bring about a new financial system, but it will also put an end to the wild west of gaming. During the 2026-2028 implementation phase, the market will naturally expand and evolve throughout the ensuing years. Liquidity will no longer be dispersed among 10,000 claims. It will concentrate. Stated differently, it will be allocated to assets that satisfy three primary requirements. Infrastructure appropriate for establishments. The Clarity Act provides practical legal clarification that saves banks and companies time and money. For this reason, we keep an eye on networks like Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. As they link the new digital economy to the rest of the globe, they are more than just words on a screen. Does that imply that driving on the road will be simple? Not at all. During the transition period, a lot will change. Arguments will result from the decision. I appreciate that. You have never been mistaken in the history of the world. All around you, a legal system is being assembled. Have you been anticipating the ideal moment to comprehend this area? Examine the calendar. The first chance is the Senate vote this month. The groups don't have a finish line. Stated differently, they are preparing to begin. I don't think you should trade the noise, Samuel. Find out how the system operates. Waiting in the maybe age was difficult for individuals. In this day and age, those with clarity will be rewarded. We appreciate your participation in this quiet analyst analysis. Giving you precise and truthful information is a fairly simple way for us to assist you in comprehending the global financial system, the facts that keep the world turning, without any sensationalism or misunderstanding. Please join our group, SML, if this in-depth analysis made it easier for you to comprehend the broader picture. We will be following the Clarity Act's journey from the Senate to the President's office. Desk. The guidelines are being finalized. Do you feel prepared to expand upon them? I'm an expert and my name is BHW. Remain composed, remain focused on the current work, and never stop.